Hello and welcome back to another episode of Evolve by Erica, the podcast. I am your host, Erica Polsinelli, and on this podcast, we talk all things spiritual, high vibrational, plant-based, all the 5D topics. So welcome, and thank you for returning this week for episode 6, where we are going to talk about how alignment is the new manifesting. And boy, do we have a ton to uncover here. So I want to begin by talking about this ascension process that we're all going through. So each and every day, each and every minute, especially those who are doing the work, and by the work, I mean meditation, being aware of the traumas that you hold, being aware of your ego and what you need to heal within you. We are ascending each and every second of each and every day. And the energy on the planet is moving very, very quickly, and it assists us in doing this. So from 5 minutes ago, we are a more elevated being. We're constantly learning and evolving. So I want to make a really bold statement and say that by being in alignment is the new manifesting. And what do I mean by that? Okay. Here we go. So, manifesting is when we take time to really set intention for all that we want to welcome into our life. And we can manifest in a bunch of different ways. So we may manifest through creating vision boards. We may manifest by writing down in our gratitude and manifesting journal. We may manifest by sitting in meditation and visualizing all that we want. We might manifest by writing out a story of what we want our life to look like. There are a bunch of different ways. We may manifest by chanting mantra that helps to speed up the manifestation process. There are so many different ways of manifesting. And I will tell you, I've done them all. My whole spiritual journey started with experimenting with the law of attraction and manifesting my desires. And spoiler alert, it worked because here I am. So I love manifesting. Some points in this journey, I've referred to myself as like a manifesting hustler. I love that active participation of creating our vision and putting it out there, writing it down, creating the vision boards, all the things. However, on this journey, and specifically with Kundalini, I started to realize and I started to learn that yes, it's important to know what you want. Yes, it's important to ask the universe for what you want. But when we're living in alignment with our highest self, we are a magnet for our desires, whether we write them down, whether we project them out or not. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. What does it mean to be in alignment? Well, we can really approach this from a bunch of different ways. The first way is our chakras. So our chakras are energy centers in the body, and I'm going to do a whole podcast just on chakras. But we have energy centers from the base of our spine all the way up to the crown of our head and out beyond our physical body, which is our aura. And based on our life experiences, based off of traumas or sadness or heavy emotions we may experience, our chakras can become out of alignment. So these chakras are around major organs in our body. They're huge energy centers. And when they're blocked, we might not act from a place of alignment. We may not be able to really tune into our intuition as much as we would like to. And it's almost like we're blocked in a way, or we're clouded. So when our chakras are in alignment, we're able to flow. We're able to be really in tune with our intuition and with our highest self. And of course, Kundalini helps to align our chakras. So, So that's one way to look at alignment. Another way we could look at alignment is how we're living every day. Are we honoring ourselves as individuals? Are we in an understanding of who we truly are. So, cutting out the noise, releasing anyone else's expectations or society's conditioning. Are we really in touch with our original self, the person who we are meant to be? And that, when we start to do that and to be that and to embody that, that brings us into alignment with our higher self. When we're in alignment, things feel easy. We're less frustrated. Things don't feel so much like work. And that's called the law of least effort or the law of least resistance. Life is meant to be easy. Life is meant to flow. Life is meant to be organic and free flowing. And we have definitely learned and heard otherwise. I mean, at least I have. If you haven't, I'm so grateful that you've had a really enlightened experience on earth. But for the most part, a lot of us have been taught and believe that we have to work really hard to earn money, or we need to work really hard to be successful. And yes, hard work is wonderful. Staying focused and working towards a goal is absolutely wonderful. And I consider myself to do that. But when it comes down to it, it shouldn't feel so much like work if we're in alignment with our highest self. So here are some ways that you know whether you're in alignment or not. So each day, do you feel like you flow throughout your day, or do you feel like you're constantly hitting blocks, roadblock after roadblock? So if you're feeling very in flow, you're clearly in alignment. If you're feeling like you're hitting a lot of roadblocks, you can be out of alignment with your higher self. Do you second guess yourself a lot? Do you doubt yourself? Or do you really have this clear voice and this clear gut feeling within you that guides you to your decisions? So when we doubt ourselves, we could be out of alignment with our truth and living in someone else's truth or under someone else's rules. And if we feel that clear intuition, that gut knowing, then we know that we're in touch with our higher self and our intuition. Does life feel easy for you, or does it feel really challenging? That's another way we could see if we're in alignment or out of alignment. How does the physical body feel? Do you feel like you are supported with endless energy, or maybe not endless energy, but an abundance of energy? Or do you constantly feel depleted and fatigued? That's another way to show if we're in alignment or out of alignment. And when we're in alignment, we should feel supported. We should have that life force energy running through us, guiding us and supporting us on this journey. And another way to see if we're in alignment or out of alignment, to go a little bit deeper into the physical health, if we feel physically healthy, or if we have aches and pains in some areas. Those areas can be where we are holding energy. So these are just a few quick check-ins to see if you're in alignment with your highest self. And the good news is that you can bring yourself back into alignment at any moment, and we're going to talk about that today. But basically, everything is energy. And when we're in alignment, that means we are vibrating at the frequency of our truth. We're at this state of peace, of happiness, of bliss, of confidence, of gratitude. And when we're in that state and we're physically vibrating at that state, we're going to attract in our desires. If we're out of alignment and we're in a place of fear, of doubt, we're going to attract in more things to be doubtful or fearful of. That's just how energy works. And that's how the universe works. So it is up to us to take charge of our energy, find ways to elevate our frequency so that we can be in alignment with our truth. And when you are in alignment with your truth, you have to do less work overall in life because, like I said before, it doesn't feel so much like work, but also with manifesting. You don't have to feel so like you're working so hard to manifest something. It should come pretty effortlessly if it's for your highest good. So I want to take a moment to talk about that. So if you feel like you've been trying to manifest something for a while and it hasn't happened, It could be two things. I'm sure it could be more than two things, but I'm going to break it down into for you. Okay. So it can be that you're not a vibrational match for that. You might want something, but your energy might not match it. So what you want is most likely a higher emotion frequency or a faster frequency that's going to bring happiness, abundance, gratitude, all of those things. But if you're vibrating at the vibration of fear, despair, sadness, doubt, you're not a match for bringing that into your life. Okay. So it's up to us to raise that frequency so we could be a vibrational match. And I promise you, I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. So we'll get there. Don't panic if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm out of alignment. Now what do I do? Don't panic. I got you. The other reason why you may not be manifesting your desire is because it's not for the highest good. So when we manifest, when we set intention for something, we want to make sure it's going to bring us the happiness that we expect it to. But sometimes the universe knows better than we do. Okay. So that could be why one of your manifests or any of your manifests aren't coming through. It might not be in alignment with your higher self and your life path. And that could be why. And it's important to surrender that over, to trust in the universe and allow that to just flow. So now that we know what it means to manifest, what it means to be in alignment, I want you to take a moment right now just to close your eyes and take a long, deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out through the mouth and let it all go. And again, inhale. And exhale, release and let it go. And if you're walking, you can just take some conscious breaths. You don't need to close your eyes, or if you're driving, same thing, just a few long, slow, deep breaths. And I want you to take this moment to ask the universe or your higher powers to clear anything that is blocking you from living in your truth and living in alignment with yourself, your higher self. So just take a moment to do that. And as you ask for that, I want you to breathe in through the nose and exhale, clear out whatever that may be, out through the mouth, letting it all go. And a few more long, slow, deep breaths here. And I want you to take this moment now to replay some of the thoughts that come into your head during the day. Are your thoughts bringing you into alignment with where you want to be? Or are they possibly holding you back? So just take a moment to be aware of that. Are there any stories that you tell yourself that are continuing to keep you out of alignment with your higher self? And once you have recognized one of those stories, I want you to choose again. I want you to choose a new story, and you're going to write it right here. And this story is now going to create your future because we are co-creators. And I want you to just take this moment to rewrite the story, that higher vibrational story. Rewriting it to what you want to believe, rewriting it to help you feel what you want to feel, and rewriting that to bring that into your new reality. And just take a moment to thank the universe for supporting you, thank your higher self for supporting you. Make a promise to yourself that you will go back to this new story anytime that old limiting story slips in. And take a long, deep inhale. And exhale, release it out. And just take a moment to ground yourself back. If you were seated and you closed your eyes, just wiggle your fingers and toes. Take any stretches or movements and just feel into the shifts that take place just from maybe 2 minutes of taking a few long, slow, deep breaths and bringing your intention to your breath. It's very, very powerful. So, before we go any further, I want to take a moment to talk about the sponsor of this podcast, which is Eaton Hemp. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I love all things plant-based, organic, transparent, sustainable, and Eaton Hemp is all of those things. So Eaton Hemp helps to bring us delicious snacks that are nutrient dense, so satisfying, delicious, and super healthy. So I have right here these superfood bites. My favorite is the peanut butter flavor, but they have a bunch of flavors, all very delicious. And I take them wherever I go, just in case I never want to get hangry. That will bring you right out of alignment. So you always want to be nourishing your body. And we're going to talk about that as we get into the tips of alignment. And this is a really great snack just to have on the go if you're able to eat seeds. I highly recommend this snack. So, Eaton Hemp is offering listeners of this podcast 30% off of all purchases on eatonhemp.com. So, you could go ahead, visit Eaton Hemp, definitely check out the superfood bites, pick a flavor that speaks to you, and use code ERIKA30. That's ERIKA 30 for 30% off of your purchase. So, that's ERIKA30 at eatonhemp.com for 30% off of your purchase. So enjoy. So we're going to get back to talking about alignment, and I want to give you some tips, but I also want to share that I actually did a 5-day, or you could look at it as a 5-week program on coming into alignment and aligning to abundance. So alignment is it really starts in our body and then into our minds, because a lot is first physical and then we start to sift through our minds so that it doesn't become physical after that. And I'll explain a little bit more. But I have a program that's available for purchase on the website and evolvedbyerica.com. And it's a 5-day, or like I said, you could do it over 5 weeks. It's a program that helps you, it really goes deep into what alignment is, how you can bring yourself into alignment. Basically, everything we're talking about in this podcast, it goes into a lot deeper. And I also offer very specific meditations and practices to do to bring yourself back into alignment. So you can check that out. It's called Align to Abundance if you're interested in diving a little bit deeper in our discussion today. So, alignment comes from our minds, our mental state, our emotional state, and also our physical state. So in order to either stay in alignment or bring ourselves back into alignment, there are some very important things that we can do. The first thing is, of course, meditation and breath work, specifically Kundalini. So the reason why Kundalini is so powerful is because we use mantra, we use breath work, we use movements. We kind of tackle all of the things in one, and it helps us to sift through, get out of our minds into our heart. And that's what alignment is. So clearing the chatter, releasing any negative thoughts, and getting into our truth, into our intuition. That's exactly what Kundalini does. So if you're looking to bring yourself back into alignment, it's never too late. And starting your day, preferably before sunrise with Kundalini, is a way to expedite yourself getting right back into alignment. Okay? So the next way to bring yourself into alignment is movement. Other types of movement that feel really good to you. So maybe dancing feels really good to you. Maybe running feels good to you. Maybe weightlifting or Pilates feels good to you, or a yoga flow. Finding what works for you. Very often we have our mindset wrapped around what we think we should do or what we need to do, and we need to completely debunk all of those things. The only thing you need to do or should do is what feels good for you, because that is what brings you into alignment. When we feel good, we are in alignment. When we're in alignment, we're manifesting all that we want. We're on a higher frequency and we're going to live our highest life path. So really, all you need to do is feel good. That's basically this whole episode, if I just had to sum it up in one sentence, feel good. But going back to movement, do what feels good for you. So I think gone are the days where we're torturing ourselves in a workout that doesn't feel nice for our bodies or for our souls. It's finding what works. I've been loving really low impact Pilates. I've also been loving a little bit of dance cardio, especially if I feel like I'm in a funk and I need to get my energy up. You guys know I love a power walk. That's like my thing while I listen to podcasts. Those are my choices of movement. So find yours, find what works for you, and do it. Number 3 of bringing yourself back into alignment is spending time in nature. I don't care if it's not nice out. Find a beautiful spot in front of your window, open the window, take a few long, deep breaths in of the fresh air, get outside if you can, any moment you can. If you could sit in the sun outside or from the inside, whatever it is, nature connects us to our soul. It connects us to our truth. And that's a really quick way of bringing ourselves back into alignment. So if you're into the beach, going to the beach, maybe going in the water, if the climate is right, unless you're into cold plunges, spending your time in a park, going through a preserve, whatever feels good to you, nature heals and it brings us right back into alignment. Another thing, number 4, would be taking a look at your diet. Guys, there's so much research on the brain-gut connection. And the more and more I dive deeper into all of this work, it's so evident that what we eat affects how we feel. Okay? So what I want to say about this is just like the exercise. What works for someone does not mean it's going to work for you. I want to share a little bit about this. So when I first went plant-based, I was trying to do like mostly raw vegan foods. And I soon realized that raw foods don't work for me. And I work a lot better off of grounding warmer foods because I run cold. My body needs the grounding. I run a little bit like airy and up in the air, floating around, and I need the warm foods to ground me back to the earth. So other people are raw vegans and they're absolutely thriving. Some people are doing a whole foods diet with animal products and they feel they're thriving. So I want you to explore what works best for you. And sometimes this means trying out an elimination diet with some guidance, possibly from a nutritionist or a dietitian, or trying different foods. But when you become in alignment, you start to really notice what foods work for you and what don't. So that's like a little gift of being in alignment. That's what comes with it. But really thinking about what you're eating, ditching as much processed food as possible and going with whole foods, whatever that means to you and whatever works for you is highly recommended because we are what we eat. Our cells are constantly turning over and every day they're recalibrating and we want to support them in the best way and in the healthiest way. So doing what feels good for you for food. Another way to be in alignment is being very conscious. I think this is number 5, being very conscious of what you're consuming. And I don't mean by food this time. I don't know about you guys, but social media has felt so overwhelming to me lately. Like there's just so much. And this is a symptom of the age of information that we're living in. And I'll do another whole podcast on the Aquarian age and the age of information. But social media, there's just so much energy there. And there's so much information, there's so much content, and now there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's Facebook, there's emails, I don't even know what else. I think there's more, but I can't keep up. So being aware of how much time you're spending there, what you are looking at, and how it's making you feel. And the cool thing about Kundalini, if I had a nickel for every time I say like the really cool thing about Kundalini, but there's just so much cool stuff about it. But back to what I was saying, the cool thing about Kundalini is it starts to make us a little bit more sensitive so that we're more aware of ourselves, our energy, etc. So like I've said in the previous episodes, Kundalini is the yoga or meditation of awareness. It helps us to be more aware of ourselves, our surroundings, our energy, others' energy, etc. So by practicing, you will become more aware of how you feel. You'll become more aware of how maybe some accounts make you feel or some posts make you feel. The mute button is a wonderful thing. So if you feel like you need to create a boundary or take space for yourself, use the tools that are there for you. And I highly recommend it. So consuming social media, but also making sure in your free time, you're consuming things that are fueling your fire and your passion and aligning you to your higher self. So I love doing that by listening to podcasts, high vibrational podcasts. Hopefully this could be a safe space for you to come when you just need a breather and to connect back to source. Listening to audiobooks that align with my truth. Listening to mantra is really good. And that's the other thing I wanted to get into. So another way to bring yourself back into alignment is by listening to music that makes you feel really good and by listening to mantra. And I understand if you're new to mantra, it might feel a little woo-woo. Once you start to like learn the lyrics and just the tune and the vibrational healing of the mantra, oh my goodness, it can shift you right back into alignment. So I always share a Spotify playlist, which is a protection mantra playlist. And I think I could add it here in the notes. So you guys can have access to that. But by listening to it, by eventually just picking up on the tune, the melody, the lyrics, you just take on a completely different energy, and that frequency is very elevated and it aligns you and your chakras and your energy. So I do want to say that I never studied the lyrics of mantras. I just like have come to learn them just by listening, and you can do that too. Don't feel pressure to know every word. You don't even need to know the meaning of the mantra to really receive the benefits of it, which is very cool. So I'll leave that in the show notes for you. So those are a few ways to come into alignment. And actually, I want to share one more, just spending time with people that really, again, just like the content you're consuming, spending time around people that they feel like sunlight, you feel alive, you feel energized when you're with them. And I understand sometimes we need to spend time with people who we leave. After we leave them, we don't feel as energized, and just creating boundaries, knowing our needs and following those. I was just thinking someone reached out for a whole podcast on boundaries. So we'll talk about that another time. But I wanted to deliver you these little tips for bringing yourself back into alignment. When we are in alignment, we're healthier, we're happier, and we're more abundant because we become this magnet of attraction for all our desires. So remember, the bottom line is do what brings you joy. Find a way to do what brings you joy. And if there's something you have to do that doesn't bring you joy, try to make it fun. And that will help you to come back into alignment with your higher self. So if you guys have any questions about this, always reach out on Instagram. I would really appreciate if you follow, subscribe, like, whatever it is, wherever you're listening from. Just follow along. That will really help the podcast reach more people. And I feel so passionate that so many people need these teachings and the frequency. So thank you for all the support. Thank you for being here. And I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. May the longtime sun shine upon you. Sat Nam.